close my window. Aggressive TvP. This build is a bit similar to the last build in my previous video, which was the Hellion drop video. But this time we're doing a little bit of a cheeky addition, I like to call it. So we're actually going to be doing a one base version of this build. And I've chosen to do this build on a map like Pride. If you remember my last video, if you saw that video, I talked about how builds like this are pretty good in big maps. And that's exactly why I did it on this map. Load this. So I'm gonna go ahead and sneak my worker around. So with this depot finishes, I rally this SUV straight down this way, and you want to go around the center area, and then you'll rally an additional SUV to start this barrack. So at the moment, this is a standard 16 racks, 17 gas, with a SUV scout, which is very early. And you can see there I passed by the probe. If I had gone this way, my SUV would have walked by the probe, and the probe would have seen the early SUV scout, and Protoss players will most likely assume that you're doing an eBay block or you're doing a cheesy. So that's why going around is good. See here I put the eBay, and then I will go for a Marine first. So I'm doing Marine first with an eBay. So the cool thing about this build actually is that you can just all off one gas. So we are indeed going to go for reactor Hellions, but we're going to do it off one gas so we can afford eBay or an eventual command center. And overall, you just don't need that much gas right away. So it works out. So pretty much that's the plan there. As you can see here, after my Marine, I get a reactor. Now what you want to do here is, if your opponent is not immediately attacking this eBay, chances are they've taken this base as their natural. And the cool thing about that scenario is, that Hellions become a lot better of a play because now you're juggling defense in two bases that are not too close to each other, right? Now, normally, as a reaction to these kinds of openers, a Protoss player will usually go for Stargate for a couple of reasons there. Phoenix, let's just defend drop, spam. People, the Oracle, you just have constant revelations. It's overall just a bit safer to play. And that tends to be the normal reaction, but I will say, from my experience coaching in like Diamond and Masters 2 and Masters 3, that honestly, if the transitions vary, some people just don't care and they'll go Twilight right away. Some people will go Robo. So that is something that's a bit hit or miss, I will say, in that regard. So I wouldn't assume that it would be Stargate. But with this SCV here, I'm going to scout around. I see here. Confirm the tech. Very nice. And behind this, I've built my command center. So after my reactor, I start a factory. And then because I'm only mining off the minerals and not off the second gas, I'm able to afford a command center pretty quickly here. So after the factory, you start that command center. I'll queue up 2 Marines, and I'll put this here because I don't want the probe to come back and kind of scout around and see if there's a command center on location, if there's a command center coming. As well as a reactor on my factory. In this case here, because of the adept, he's able to shade past, and he will actually see that I am playing this build here. And I've been scouted, right? My opponent is going Phoenixes. He's prepared with batteries in his mineral line. And he's kind of adding this little wall here. So this is where it becomes a bit of a doozy. I'm gonna rally another 2 Hellions, and now I'm gonna. And this scenario actually split them up, but you might actually get away with just running them all into one base specifically. So for example, here, it might have been a good idea to just rally all my Hellions into the base of the Protoss player. But instead, I tried to split them up 2 and 2, and then there's the battery here. So I would say you could kind of test it out. You kind of rally here, and you're like, oh shit, there's a battery. Even with the battery, 4 Hellions, if you sink all the shots, will kill the probes under the battery. But the adepts will be able to do a good amount of damage to your Hellions, so that's kind of the issue with that scenario. And so right before we talk about the transition, let me just go ahead and show you guys what I'm talking about. Yeah, so I get my Hellions lifted here briefly, and there's only enough for 1 lift, But I split off my Hellions to go in here. And this is a really clean defense by Trigger. Like, he anticipated all this, he scouted it. You can see here how this Phoenix is coming to play. But you can see as well, I do think that if I had rallied in here, it might have been better for me. Now, if we rewind... Whoa, why am I yawning so much? It's literally 10 a.m. Alright, check it out. So, as I'm moving across the map, right, after these two Hellions, I'm going to go ahead and start an armory when my command center finishes. And halfway through my command center being finished, I actually start my second gas. So, 2 Widow Mines and a medevac. So, in the previous build, we actually did this off a second command center with a proxied starport. And you could also do the same build on this map. I think if you proxy the starport here, for example, it's like very direct, and you can also fly it back. So this is the part that I have scouted. Because all the units are on his side of the map defending the Hellion push, I'm able to get away with this kind of transition where he doesn't anticipate it. I go up to my 4 mines. I've already built a tech lab with my barracks here, so that when I'm done building Widow Mines, it's very easy for me to switch off and put it on the factory, put it on the barracks. And there you go. So here I switch off, and I will go ahead and build a Viking, a Cyclone, and then 2 Marines. This is just so that I can defend the Stargate unit when the counter occurs, when the counterattack occurs after he's defended whatever it is that I'm doing. Now in this particular scenario, it's actually a bit nice for me because my opponent went straight into Phoenixes, no Oracle, and now a Robo. The cool thing is that even if there is an Oracle, if you space out your Widow Mines, it should take a couple of Revelations to actually kill off the Widow Mines, and you just want to make sure that the Widow Mines are spread apart. Oh, here I defend this. And then, yeah, so I'm going to go ahead, sit here. Phoenixes are looking for me. And here I'm actually sitting here because I'm waiting. I'm pretty much waiting for the Phoenixes to show up on my side of the map. I know that they exist, and I don't want it to happen where I drop in here and I get picked up. I just die. I really don't want that. So right here, as soon as this occurs, if you look at my vision, there you go. I send the mine drop. Now, from here, the transition will really depend on how you want to play the scenario out. 3 command center is not bad. You could play 3 command center. I want it to be aggressive, continue to be aggressive. So instead of adding 3 command center, I added my 2 Raxus, I added my eBay, my 3rd gas. So even though the clock is off, the general timing of when you add your additional buildings is pretty much the same order. My 2 Raxus go first. Once I have the money, I'll lift these and put these on here. Additional add-ons. You know, I have 300 gas. I'll start +1. Put on my gas here. So I'll add the replay, of course, so you guys can take a look. And here I've now dropped these in. I know there's no Oracle. I see the Robo Bay, so I know that there's either a Robo or a Robo and an Observer. My Widow Mine drop doesn't actually kill that many workers, but now you basically want to just spread these apart. I know that he's building an Oracle here, and actually just gets a couple of kills as well. And while I'm doing this, I'm actually going for a push across the map. And you'll be asking me, why am I doing this? Because this even for me, this tends not to work. The reason why I committed to this actually is because when I dropped my Widow Mines in, there's a couple of things here. Number one, there's only 1 gateway, and there's the second gateway that's barely coming online. I've seen these 2 additional buildings coming in. I didn't get the chance to click on them, so I just assumed they were gateways, but it's actually a gateway and a Twilight. Robo Bay does mean there's a Robo, but either my opponent has an Observer or maybe 1 Immortal at most. So you can see there's not a lot of units out here. And I wasn't actually super dedicated into doing this push, but because the Phoenixes have to worry about defending here, there's nothing to clean up the mines, right? So that's kind of the cool thing here. And I'm actually able to spread these out now and be extra annoying because my opponent has to worry about defending this. Comes in here. I bring this medevac to my Marines. Rally back. But now this is here. And he's got to worry about all these mines and clean these up slowly while also being able to defend this with no gateway units, right? I do think instead of a Colossus, they should have built an Immortal. This is a little bit greedy in my opinion. And most of the time people will build an Immortal. But, you know, Widow Mines are putting in work here. If there was an Immortal, I would have just pulled back here. And I've now killed 16 workers. I'm transitioning. I can start a third base of my own, and now the worker count's pretty even here, so that's what ends up happening there. I think I killed the observer by accident with the Widow Mine, so this is very nice. And that happens a lot too, actually. Fun fact, like, the observer sits on top of the phoenixes, and sometimes the observer will die due to the splash damage of the mine. Which is fucking insane, but yeah, that's what happens. So yeah, this build is pretty sick if you want to play something that's super aggressive. I encountered probably some of the worst case scenarios, and I still was able to squeeze some damage out. And I can link some, actually I can link some games in the description, not of my personal games, but games of Dream in particular, where he played these super aggressive builds, and that's where I got the inspiration from. So if you want to check those out, they'll be in the description, and of course I'll add like a little summary up here of just the game, the build, transition, and all that good stuff. So yeah, if you like these aggressive builds, let me know. If you have any questions, please comment, like, subscribe. Yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Later.